welcome to this edition of Wake Up and Live with the Arts. I'm Sue Johnson, here with our very special guest from the venerable Cleveland Playhouse, the oldest ongoing American theater in forever. So I want to introduce our special guest. Everybody around knows Laura Kepley, the artistic director of the Cleveland Playhouse, and a star of Every Brilliant Thing, Tarah, let me get that right, Tarah Flanagan, who is doing the lead role in Every Brilliant Thing, which is a story about being mentally, having issues mentally, and you laugh at depression, suicide, mental illness. You know? So tell us just a hint, Tarah, about this role that you're doing.
Sure. Well, it's a beautiful play, Every Brilliant Thing, by Duncan Macmillan. It deals really frankly and really openly with issues of mental illness and depression, as you mentioned, but it does so with a lot of humor and a lot of love. It's a big, open-hearted play. So it is never mocking or laughing at mental illness.
Right.
But we do find a lot of humor in what it is to be a human being on this planet. You see things from a child's perspective, from a grown-up perspective, a teacher's perspective, a parent's perspective, and I think we all find things to laugh at on our journey in this life. So there's a lot of that kind of humor. The audience really feels a part of the show. It's a very immersive, intimate experience, and hopefully you walk away knowing that we are all in this together, that none of us are alone. Even if you are feeling isolated by depression, hopefully your evening in the theater will help you reconnect with your community.
And be uplifted.
Yes, that's our hope, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, there's humor in every tragedy. I mean, of course, we got all the European and Shakespeare tragedies. There's always humor. Yeah. And this isn't a direct thing, but we took care of our parents for 6 straight years and longer. And the issues there, I mean, there were times we just had to laugh, and they were very serious issues. Now, Tarah, I am so happy to meet you because my sister Pam and I saw the Illiad, and we spent so much time talking about, excuse my French TV audience, how the hell did you learn all that material? And then turn around and this is another solo performance.
It is, although I have to say that before in Illiad, I had never done a solo performance before. So it's not as if I had a great deal of experience, but I learned so much from an Illiad, another beautiful play. So normally you're really, more than memorizing words, you're memorizing thoughts.
Yes.
The logic of what you say tells me what I will say next. So when you're on your own, you have to build in some of that logic for yourself. But again, I have Laura in the room. I had Alex in the room, Alex Brightwell, the other actor performing in this play. And so we could all sort of talk through that logic together. When my character does such and such, well, of course, then I would be speaking about such and such. I don't want to give too much away about the play, but you have to sort of talk about that logic out loud amongst your team, your production team, so that you can weave that story for yourself and then hopefully hang your memory on that structure. And
you find a lot of drama coaches and directors will say, use some of your personal life experiences, memories, and so forth. Now, do you find that in Every Brilliant Thing that you've had to bring some Tarah into the character? Does your character have a name?
Not explicitly. Every now and then, because of the way the play is structured, somebody might ask me my name, and if I'm asked, I say Tarah. But one thing I learned from an Illiad, and I learned this from Laura and from my director, Andrew Carlson, and then other people's response to the play was solo pieces they felt really connect the most when the performer is really dropped into their self. Their own authentic self, and using that to connect to the audience. So I do strive to do that. And again, this is a very human story. That's another reason why we have both a male actor and female actor performing in it, because it's just a very human story. And while it might not be specifically my story, I've been on the planet long enough to have some of these ups and downs myself, and to be
Haven't
connected,
we all?
right?
Yes.
So I don't have to go too far to empathize with the situation.
And you have another actor, Laura, who is in Every Brilliant Thing, a male actor. Can you tell us a little bit about who's co-starring and alternating with Tarah?
Sure. So the playwright of Every Brilliant Thing says this role can be performed by anyone. And so we took him up on that. So we have, usually a one-person show, you would just hire one actor. But for us, we really wanted to explore that creative invitation that the playwright gave, saying anyone could do this. So we hired 2 different actors, and they perform on alternate nights. So the play stars Tarah Flanagan one night, and then stars Alex Brightwell the next night. And doing a solo show, and Tarah can speak to this more, can be a really lonely endeavor, right? Because you just, in the rehearsal room, usually you would just have your director and your stage manager, and you're the only cast member. And then it can get particularly lonely when the play is running, because it's just you on stage. So we have a graduate program with Case Western Reserve University,
yes,
the MFA program. And we are very proud of our partnership with Case in that professional training program. And so Alex is one of our 3rd-year MFA students. Yes.
Really? Okay.
So I look for every opportunity to give our students that professional experience. Their 3rd year is all about bridging into the profession. We think about the training program the way you might think about a teaching hospital, right? So students go to med school, but then they have to
clinical.
They have to clinical. They have to practice, and they need to do that while being mentored and working alongside top tier professionals. So this was an incredible opportunity for Alex to step into this professional role, and honestly, he's getting the role of a lifetime right at the beginning of his career. He's doing a wonderful job, and we're extremely proud of him and proud of the training that got him to this point.
And Miss Director, how long have you been in this role? Now, we know you as artistic director, and you have a long resume.
Right.
But how long have you been directing on top of everything
Oh, how long have
else?
I been directing? I've been directing professionally about 20 years.
I didn't know you were that old.
Thank you. Yes, about 20 years, and I've been here at Cleveland Playhouse since the fall of 2010, and then I became artistic director in the fall of 2013.
And yes, you've been doing a marvelous job.
Well,
ever
thank you.
since.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to continue with our illustrious artistic director for a few minutes, but I understand you are so committed to having to be in 55 places at once.
She is.
And we cannot wait to see you in Every Brilliant Thing, which runs November 23rd to December 22nd in the Lordy, that was me dropping my mic. In the Helen Theater. And for this performance, by all means, call 216-241-6000. And there are student rush tickets for only $15 for this performance. So be sure you come and see what marvelous solo performance work is all about. Because in terms of your whole acting repertoire, you need to look at Tarah, her work. Those of you who saw the Illiad were treated to how amazing and how she is and how in the world, once again, she's turned around and now she's doing another solo piece in less than 3-4 months, right?
We rehearsed it for about a month.
But I mean, since the Illiad.
Oh, Iliad was last winter. Yes,
About a year.
It's
Yeah.
half
Been a year? No, it hasn't.
It goes by so fast,
know.
Sue. Goes by
It's
so
been
fast.
a whole year since the Illiad.
Almost a year.
Yeah, and Illiad was last January. Yeah.
Okay, you are dismissed, Tarah.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for spending a few minutes with us, because we know how busy you are, especially today with all the press work. And Laura will have 5 more minutes to talk to her about the rest of the season and some things about directing not only Every Brilliant Thing, but the rest of her work. So thanks again, and you take wings on, no, you've had opening night, I'm sorry, this play is already running, so you've already started taking wings, and by the time we get there, you'll be flying up in the rafters.
Here's hoping, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you so
thanks
much.
a lot.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Now, as we said, Tarah had to leave for other commitments, but we want to draw your attention to look at how the sun is shining on this poster, meaning that, of course, the sun comes out of the clouds, the raindrops, the teardrops. So in this play, you're going to see some examples of all these things in this production. And so please, Laura, as a director, what are some of the things you like to bring about with your actor? What do you look for? What do you say, coach them about it? How much do you let them develop their own sense of the character? Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very special play in that it is a one performer speaking directly to the audience and also inviting the audience to participate as well.
Okay.
So I will give away a little secret. When folks come into the audience, Tarah personally meets every one of them and asks them if they're comfortable helping her to tell the story of this play. So every brilliant thing refers to a list that her character started making when she was 7 years old. And it was a list to cheer her mom up, because her mom was struggling with issues of depression. Her mother had attempted suicide. And so from this little girl's 7-year-old perspective, she thought, well, I'm going to make a list of things to remind mom that there's a lot to live for.
Yes.
So the list starts when she's little, but she continues writing the list over the course of her life. So we see the character go from being a 7-year-old to a 17-year-old to an adult who then starts dealing with her own issues of mental health and depression. So what I needed in a performer was someone who could be open-hearted, generous, someone who obviously is charismatic and magnetic,
yeah.
but also someone who makes the audience feel safe.
Okay.
Yeah,
That sounds
so-
delicious. Absolutely delicious. Yes.
So that when she comes around at the beginning of the play and says, would you read one of these? We have slips of paper that has a brilliant thing on it.
Okay.
And she says, will you, when I call this number out, will you read this aloud? So it's really wonderful that you have, I think all plays, good plays, create a sense of community.
Yes.
But this one takes it a step further. We are in the Helen Theater, which is very intimate. Nobody is more than 4 rows away, so it's very close. And we keep the lights pretty much on the entire show so that Tarah can see you and you in the audience can see her. And so even though it's a one-person show, it really is a conversation between
and it's
the
highly
performer.
interactive.
It
And
is.
so
It
audiences should appreciate that opportunity, because as we know, there's so many frustrated actors in the audience, and to have a chance to participate is absolutely wonderful.
It's really lovely. And she does ask some people if they're interested in participating more than just reading a number. And so every night the show really is different based on who's in the audience and who participates. So I hope that you will be a participant when you come to see the show.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And now, is this one of the 90-minute solo pieces?
It is. It is. So all told, from the beginning to the end, and we leave space at the end for people to interact with the list of brilliant things, to maybe
Okay.
contribute their own. But it is 90 minutes, no intermission, straight through.
And that's a popular format these days. It really is easy to do. Yeah.
People's busy lives and. We also have, in addition to all of our regular show times, we've also added a Sunday night at 6:30.
Really? Okay.
We did. And so that's also another great time at the end of your weekend, just to have that entertainment
That
and also
experience.
that chance to reflect on your own life, especially at the holiday season.
Oh, where
to
depression is one of the highest. This is one of the highest
absolutely
times.
is.
Yeah.
And to have that chance to really focus on the things that actually matter, not all
course.
of the commercialism of Christmas.
Where they started in October
Yeah,
with,
right.
I didn't figure out this Black Friday stuff. They started in October on TV.
Yeah.
Now, we're getting ready to wrap up momentarily.
Okay.
Because like Tarah, who we just met, your schedule is beyond belief. So what comes up after Christmas Story, Every Brilliant Thing? How do we kind of begin to close out the season?
In January and February, we'll have a new play called Clue. I don't know if you remember the board game or the movie.
And is that the one where Professor so-and-so in the library?
Professor Plum with the candlestick in the library. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so that is
fun.
So much fun. So that is another 90 minutes straight through murder, mystery, comedy. That will be so much fun. We always like to do something really fun in the winter to bring
Cleveland.
Some, yes, right.
Cleveland.
And then after that, we have Antigone, which is, yes, indeed. So that is a Greek drama. So one of the oldest existing dramas.
Aeschylus? Who did that one?
This one is Sophocles.
Sophocles.
Yeah. So, but in a modern adaptation by Emily Mann. And so this is an ancient play that is burning with contemporary relevance. It will feel like it's actually happening now. So that is fantastic. That will have a lot of our MFA students in it as well as some great professionals. And then we end the year with a Doll's House Part 2, which is based on, if you remember, Ibsen's play Doll's House, that famous 19th century play that ends with a woman walking out on her marriage and her children and slamming the door and starting a new life for herself. Really one of the first feminist plays.
Yeah, I was able to play in that. Where were we? We were over at, oh good Lord, where were we? At the Old Beck Theater, I think. Way back when. It's been a long time.
Yeah, so that's the classic play. In this modern play, it's 15 years later, and she's come back to her family. Nora comes back.
Yes.
And you don't really need to know anything about the 19th century play. This Doll's House Part 2 is really a contemporary take on marriage. What makes a good marriage? What... in a marriage, where do you compromise and where do you need to stay true to your own dreams and what you're doing? So, and it's very funny. So it takes on those issues. I think that's a theme with our work at Cleveland Playhouse. You know, we bring some of the darker subjects into the light, and we tackle those topical issues, but with humor and beauty and hope and uplift.
What a great note to end this wonderful conversation we are having with Laura Kepley, Artistic Director of the Cleveland Playhouse. And as you can see, the season offers such wonderful diversity, variety of plays for your enjoyment and enlightenment and aesthetic value. So please be sure to call 216-241-6000. Find out about the shows, get put on their mailing list, become a subscriber, whatever works so that you can enjoy the things that are happening here at Cleveland Playhouse. And with that, thank you, Laura, for joining us again. It's been a minute since we've had a chance to talk to you. And as we always like to say at the end of our show, be sure to wake up and live with the arts every day.